story time about how I found my husband using Tinder and all the freaking dating apps. Claim this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. Once again, I'm at the airport, sorry. My husband and I were both total sluts when we met. He was seeing like 10 girls when I first met him, and I was dating 3 guys at the time. Well, let me tell you, neither of us trusted each other, like not one bit. Eventually, he asked me to be his girlfriend, and I really wasn't sure if I wanted to say yes, but I did. He is so good looking. Like everywhere we go, we get told we're such a good looking couple. So we know we're both pretty good looking. To be fair, we were both addicted to Instagram. I would get tons of DMs from guys, and sometimes I would answer. And I know that he was getting DMs from girls, although he never told me. We dated for a year, and then he asked me to marry him. Of course, I said yes. I thought this was his way of telling me that he was going to commit to me 100%. After 6 months of being married, I started getting really suspicious. He would never leave his phone unattended. And if we were having dinner, he would always put his phone face down. I know you all know that's a red flag. Basically, he was hiding his phone from me like all the time. One night, we got super drunk and I made sure to wait until he fell asleep. I got on his phone and found Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge. Part 2 is up. 2 of how I found out my husband was using Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge all at the same time. But yeah, and cheating on me. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. So I got him drunk enough that he fell asleep. I got onto his phone and I found all the dating apps. I quickly screenshot every conversation he'd had on each of the apps. I was literally on his phone for 4 hours. Like, I didn't sleep at all that night. And the whole time I was reading his messages, I was crying. Like, I literally thought he was dedicated to me. I sent myself all of the screenshots and then deleted them from his phone. I also went through his Instagram and found a bunch of DMs from different girls. And a lot of them were big influencers. I can spill so much tea about that, by the way. I found a bunch of naked pictures from girls as well. And he even had a freaking Snapchat. At that point, I couldn't look anymore. So here's what I did. I invited both of our families to our house for dinner. Ordered from a super fancy restaurant and made sure everyone was coming. When we sat down to dinner, I told him I was going to go get my laptop. He asked me why and I told him to give me a second. He literally thought I was going to give him a big surprise. That's when I exposed him in front of both of our families. Part 3's up. 3 of how I found out my husband was using dating apps, cheating on me, and I exposed him in front of both of our families. So as everyone is sitting down and having dinner, I started a slideshow of all the DMs, pictures that had been sent between him and all these girls. Yes, I was petty enough to make a slideshow. My husband looks at me and tells me to take it down. Of course I didn't. That's when his mom got up from her chair and slapped him straight across the face. Of course my husband started crying instantly. His dad even grabbed him by the shoulders and shook him. My family was in shock. They were so disappointed in him. Mind you, him and my mom had a great relationship. He hung out with my family all the time. That's when I asked him for a divorce and I told him I wanted everything. By the way, my husband and I own a business and he's got his own money. So I ended up taking more than half of the business, 3 out of the 4 cars that he owns, and lots of money. But here's the thing, I still love him. Even though I have my own apartment and we live separately, he comes over all the time for, you know what? Like, we still love each other and still like each other, but I can't get past the fact that he actually cheated on me. He's asking for me to go back with him, but honestly, I don't know if I should. Once a cheater, always a cheater, right? But I'm gonna expose myself. I cheated on him too, what do I do?
Here is the story of the Girl Scout murders. Warning, it's very disturbing and very sad. In the summer of 1977, 3 Girl Scouts, Lori, Michelle, and Doris, were staying at an Oklahoma campsite. The camp counselor was going through their things when she found a note that was pretty disturbing. Whoever wrote it promised to murder 3 girls at the campsite, but the camp counselor didn't take it seriously since everybody was telling ghost stories and all that. She thought it was no more than a prank, so she didn't do anything about it, and she would soon come to regret that decision. 2 months after she finds that note, on June 13th, early in the morning, the 3 girls' bodies were found murdered and raped. All 3 of their bodies were found outside in their sleeping bags on the trail that led to the camp showers. The only thing that the murderer left behind was a bloody footprint and a red flashlight. The prime suspect in this case was Gene Leroy Hart. He was actually raised about a mile away from the camp, and at the time of the murders, he was an escaped convict. Excellent. He had escaped from prison where he had been serving time for burglary, kidnapping, and rape. But due to lack of evidence, the jury acquitted him. And if you don't know what that means, they let him go. Due to lack of evidence. And the Oklahoma police consider this crime solved. So, nobody actually knows if Gene Leroy Hart was responsible for this murder. It still is technically an unsolved crime, even though the Oklahoma police say that it has been solved, but all we know is that the girl's killer never saw justice. Let me know what you guys think about this case in the comments. Do you think he did it? Moral of the story, if you ever see a note like that or something, make sure to ask the person about it or check in with them. It's always better to be safe than sorry.
Disturbing facts that you'll wish you never knew. If you die in a house and there's nobody around to feed your pets will start with the squishy parts, such as your lips, eyes, ears, and nose. If you were ever exposed to rabies, you will have 0 symptoms for months. But the second you start showing symptoms, it's already too late. A full-grown raccoon can actually fit in your butt. Raccoons can fit in a hole that is 4 inches wide. Your butt can spread up to 9 inches, so technically you could fit 2 raccoons. In some US states, the act of eating human flesh is completely legal. The only illegal part is how you get it. But if you send this to a friend and they agree to let you eat them, it's completely legal. If you were ever to have your head cut off, you're still technically alive for about 3 seconds. I hope this helps. Now, if you would excuse me, I have some raccoons I need to go take care of.
Hey yo, what the f***?
You ever plan on skydiving? You need to watch this first. A young man named Tyler Turner was 18 at the time and wanted to go skydiving. He called up 3 of his friends and told them the idea, and all 3 of them wanted to go with him. His mom, clearly nervous, decided to tag along so she could help take pictures and to go for some moral support. Tyler arrives at the skydiving place and they inform him he's going to be doing a tandem jump. A tandem jump is when you and your instructor have one parachute and you both jump together. Tyler, clearly nervous, says this on video.
My mom over there. Hello, very loving mom. Done a lot for me in my life. Hope more that she'll help me with more of my life because I want to make it. Okay, we're gonna make it.
Before getting on the plane, he gets on his knees and prays and then waves to his mom and says that he loves her. While the plane is 13,000 feet in the air, his mom on the ground is recording up. She starts seeing parachutes jump out, but she can't remember which color her son's parachute was. She waited and waited until she realized that Tyler's parachute never came out. Tyler and the instructor's parachute malfunctioned, crashing down at 13,000 feet, killing both of them instantly. Later, it was found out the instructor never had a license.
When I was 13, I got a Dell desktop for school. The internet was fairly new for me back in 2003, so I signed up for AOL chat room. I was a shy, overweight kid back then. Still shy to this day, but online I could be anyone. I could say anything. It was amazing. I discovered so many things when I got on the internet. If I could be anyone, so could anyone else. Thus, how I met one 27-year-old man. One night, I logged on. I was sitting in my cold, dark kitchen. I was bored, so I hopped into an AOL chat room. Lurked for a bit, I profiled as a 15-year-old girl here. I was really 13, but saying I was 15 made me feel so much more mature. Then a text came. Hey, my name is Rob, where are you from? And that's how it started. I told him where I was from, that I was in high school, which wasn't a lie. My school was from 7th to 12th grade. You? 19, male, New York. Then let's meet. I was nervous. He had never asked for a pic, had never really asked for much from me, just the emails back and forth. A phone call a day, but somehow he made me feel safe. Made me feel wanted, cared for. He drove from NY to my town one day. After a couple of dates, I was skipping school one day and went on a date with him. Believed him when he told me I couldn't see his driver's license because he left it in the hotel. Believed him when he said he loved me. I remember him suggesting to come get me. I remember saying okay. Days later, by the time he made the drive again, I was feeling iffy about leaving my mom. I loved her after all. I didn't think things through. I didn't put much thought into anything, really. Packed a few clothes in a suitcase. I felt bad that he drove 8 hours to get me, so I left in the middle of the night, got in the car with him. Hours later, we park a block away from his house while he runs to get something. I am sitting in the back seat, waking up from a nap, when around 8 or so men and women in black suits surround the car, screaming for us to get out with our hands up. My first thought was, shoot, first 10 minutes in NY and I'm already being robbed. I am terrified. I get out and a man pulls me over to the curb. All the while, they are asking my name and age.
Hello.
I am put in the back of an unmarked car, driven to the NYPD,
Okay.
past reporters,
you.
cameras, news trucks, snuck into the back of the station, where I see Rob in handcuffs for the first time. And for 13-year-old me, this is devastating. I am taken into a room and questioned for hours.
Wow,
I am
such a
then
beautiful
taken to the
cake.
hospital. The next day, 2 FBI officers escorted me home on a plane, where I get off and where I am greeted by police officers, my mother, and a horde of news reporters. I later found out that when my mom reported me for missing, she gave the police his license plate number. Not sure how she got it, but after they ran the license number, looked into the man, they found out who he was. That was when they issued an Amber Alert, noting that I was in extreme danger because he was a kidnapper who tried to sell me for human trafficking, who had been wanted
Oh, it
for a
tastes
long
so
time,
yummy.
and he would be sentenced for
Thank you
15
for this
years.
amazing cake.
My teenage years were better though. I transferred schools, made best friends, graduated. So, to the man who ruined so many years of my life, I am 29 now. I am happy, healthy, and I have zero remorse that you are now listed as a level 3 sex offender and that you were in prison for so many years. If you have kids, check what they are doing online. You may trust them, but don't trust the creeps that linger. They are out there. While your kid might be smart and you know they would never do anything crazy, it never hurts to check.